So you know I like me some Saturday morning cartoons. How about this one? Earthworm Jim. I have never seen this before. Earthworm Jim is from 1995, or at least this tape is dated 1995. Features our protagonist, Earthworm Jim, who is a worm. But he's a worm that inhabits a super suit that gives him special abilities. The ability, first of all, to walk and to shoot a gun and to run around and adventure and be a hero. The cartoon came out in 1995. You may remember that Earthworm Jim, of course, was a video game, and I think still is. I think there's been pretty recent releases as well. Earthworm Jim, I played it back in 1994 on the Super NES, I believe. It was always a really fun game. I found it a little bit difficult, but love the animation style in there. The gameplay was fun and exciting, and just a basic run and shoot kind of game, but with a cartoony, twisted sense of humor. So the cartoon, produced in 1995, it's a pretty funny, pretty weird cartoon, if you ask me. I think at the time that this cartoon came out, I was in my 20s. Didn't have the time to sit around, eat cereal, and watch Saturday morning TV. Or if I did have that time, I was sleeping because I had a hangover from partying the night before. But enough about me. In this cartoon, Earthworm Jim is voiced by Dan Castellaneta, who you may recognize as the voice of Homer Simpson. And you can kind of hear just a little bit of that Homer Simpson-esque in here. But no, I think he goes out of his way to make sure that his voice is, a little different here than your Homer Simpson. And he's a far different character. He's also notable for voicing the genie in the television version of the Aladdin cartoon. Guy's had a steady paycheck since 1988, and he picks up stuff on the side, and just very professional. Speaking of professional voice actors, you also get Charlie Adler. I believe he was Buster Bunny on Tiny Toons. So I did watch some cartoons back in the day, some 90s cartoons, but for some reason I missed this one. I'm not sure why, because I put this tape on. There's only 2 episodes on here, the first 2 episodes of the show, and I laughed my ass off at Earthworm Jim. I thought, I don't know why, it made me laugh. There's some situations in there that are just totally ridiculous. Okay, the premise. Earthworm Jim. It even shows you in the opening credits, of course. Earthworm Jim, he's an earthworm, and he crawls in the ground. He's one of the lowliest of creatures, the common earthworm. He rises up out of the ground, and suddenly from outer space falls to Earth a super suit, and it lands right next to this earthworm, and the earthworm crawls in there, and it gives him superpowers, and he's like big, buff, muscly, a human-like character, but he's just got an earthworm head poking out of his spacesuit. He somehow becomes like a hero and fights off the aliens, I think some of whom are responsible for losing this super suit in the first place. So we have built-in antagonists that want to get the suit back. Now he's got a sidekick whose name is Peter Puppy, who's just your regular timid little puppy dog guy, and Peter Puppy has like Hulk power. He hulks out when he gets like super angry and super upset, but he always attacks Earthworm Jim. And I think that's really funny, and it makes for some pretty good gags. But the 2 of them, they go on adventures and they save the universe, all to win the affection of Princess What's-Her-Face. Actually, her name is Princess What's-Her-Name. Now, the villains, I think, in this are actually pretty funny, too. You get a guy like a crow. His name is Cy Crow. He's a sentient crow, bipedal, wears a spacesuit with a bubble on his head. You get Professor Monkey for a head. Kind of makes me laugh. He's got a split personality, and he's got a monkey growing out of his skull. But the monkey's growing upside down out of his skull. Professor Monkey for a head. He's insane, and he's evil. And I think the gag actually doesn't really get as tired as you think it would be. You also get Evil the cat, who's just a little cat that's super evil, and he's got like big sharp teeth, and yeah, it's a little weird. The villains are ridiculous, but they're funny, and the whole cartoon really has like that breaks the fourth wall, speak to the audience, very self-aware, kind of like, oh, what are we going to do in today's cartoon, and blah blah blah. I guess you could say it's in the Deadpool style, which has become popularized by Deadpool. You'd seen this before in comic books. You've seen this on other TV shows and comedies, things like that. It works pretty good here, I think. This is a 90s cartoon. In the mid-90s, everything was bam, 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 bam. Everything is crazy and all coming at you. And it was the MTV generation. Everything was really extreme. Cartoons were weird AF. Like, I mean, this is the era that spawned like Ren and Stimpy and shows like that. Irreverent comedy. This one is good for kids. It's not overly violent. There's not a lot of fart jokes and stuff in it. There's a few, but it's no Ren and Stimpy. Now there's 2 episodes on here. The first one is called Bring Me the Head of Earthworm Jim. So it's about 2 of our main villains, Psy-Crow and Professor Monkey for a Head, cook up this plan to get the suit back from Earthworm Jim by tricking him into thinking it's like they're like a dry cleaner or something. They just park their flying saucer spaceship or whatever, and they throw up a sign that says laundromat, and Jim needs to get his suit cleaned. He brings it into the laundromat, and they pretend they're just like, we're traveling laundromat, and Professor Monkey for a Head has a big hat that covers the monkey, but it's a gigantic hat. And the guy, you know, like normally he has like an English accent or like one of those villain evil accents or whatever. And so he puts on like this horribly fake Texas accent. And I don't know, it was a really funny scene anyway. Yeah, so they get the suit back. Earthworm Jim and Peter Puppy have to go and somehow get the suit back without having the powers of the suit. Of course, the good guys win in the end, and a good time is had by all. Second episode is called The Sword of Righteousness. Earthworm Jim comes across a magical, intelligent sword. It comes to life, and it speaks to him, and it's got its own like personality, and it tries to train Earthworm Jim and how to fight with this magic sword and how to work on these special magical powers. Turns out the sword is actually a jerk, but it allows him to time travel and to, I guess, like use the Force or something, because it's like a training montage, and it's kind of reminiscent of Star Wars a wee bit. It plays out pretty funny, I think. Yeah, there's lots of visual gags. There's lots of ridiculous characters, goofy lines, silly situations. This is a quintessential 90s cartoon, and it's just funny. So I'm going to give Earthworm Jim a B. It's a solid B too. It's a solid cartoon. I would watch this if I could find the complete series. I enjoyed my time with Earthworm Jim. I would probably go back and play the video games, and I would probably go back and watch this cartoon anytime I see it on television. And Earthworm Jim ain't bad at all. So until next time, have a good one, everybody.